everybody, and no one can whoop him. Only last week, I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Chris coming at you with another episode to the Beautiful Struggle podcast, and this is episode 19.
Wow.
Yeah, episode 19, and today is a very, very special episode. We don't just have one guest on, we have two guests on. Okay, cool. So if you guys want to introduce yourself, I already had these two guests on before, and yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name's Morgan. This is my third time on.
Third
so
time.
I'm getting pretty seasoned to this, if I do say so myself, but nothing compared to the next guest.
And my name is Tanner. I believe this is my second time on your podcast,
Second
right? I was
time,
on
yeah,
number 1 or 2.
I was literally just gonna say the first episode, the first guest I had was Tanner.
Yeah.
And I was beyond nervous. And that's when that was back when I was terrible at editing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not to be rude.
Yeah,
Morgan,
now the mic setup is way better.
Yeah.
so it's way better now. And Morgan, you can tell him like how many hours I would spend editing. And I would be calling Tanner like, yo, how do you do this? Like,
Yeah.
I was spending hours.
We done came a long way in 19 episodes.
Came a long, long way.
That's
Yeah.
for
So
sure.
thank you guys for coming on. I sincerely appreciate it. We're going to get into a couple things, but I want to start with Morgan and ask you how 75 hard is going. So as you guys know, last week I told you guys the wife and I were doing a 75-day challenge where basically we got to drink 1 gallon of water a day. We got to exercise every day for 45 minutes. We have to take 1 progress photo. We have to read 10 pages out of a book. And what was the last thing? We have to
maintain a diet.
Maintain a diet or a way of eating. So how is it going for you?
Honestly,
we're on day 8.
Yeah, we're on day 8, so we're still pretty new into it.
As he takes
I know
a sip
he's
out
like
of the
literally
gallon.
chugging his gallon of water right now, trying to finish it. I would say it's going actually pretty well. My biggest thing I would say is just probably drinking the water. Actually, you know what? No, I've gotten better at it because I literally like drink so much water in the beginning of the day that I'm just like, okay, by the end of the day, I only have like a little bit to go. Probably the hardest thing is working out because I am not a working out type of person. I really don't find the joy. Like people are like, oh, I love to work out. I'm like, no, it's not for me. Hasn't ever really been for me. I mean, I've been an athlete like since I was young, like all the way up until basically like high school. Well, no, up into high school, like senior year. And then once you got into college, it was like, you know, you kind of figured it out for yourself. But I don't know. I just never got into the rhythm of working out. So I'm just like, that's my least favorite part of the day.
Yeah, and not that it's an excuse, but your days are pretty long. You have a long commute. So by the time you get home, I know you're pretty exhausted and you get done with your workout and you read and you eat and it's like time for bed already.
Yeah, I like try to read during the day too, so I can literally just come home and work out, shower and go to bed because like I'm just ready to just knock out.
Do you guys work out together?
No.
I mean, we probably could, but the way like our schedules are, it'd be better. I don't know if it'd be better, but it's like
you just get it done when you can.
Okay, you want me to be real?
Let's hear it.
Personality wise, it's better for us not to work out together.
Okay, there's your answer.
Okay.
It's just way better for us not to work out together.
It
like
keeps the relationship
he's like,
strong.
yeah, just schedule wise. I'm like, no, let's be real. It's
but it
personality.
is part of that, though.
It is part of that.
Why do you say that though? Like exactly. Like why do you say that?
Because he is a very intense person in the gym, and I'm telling you, like already, like I really don't like to be in the gym like that. Like the one thing that I can say that I like to do in the gym is I like to go to spin classes. Like if anybody knew me like probably like 2-3 years ago, I like got in the best shape of my life spinning because I took like a class in college.
Like riding bike?
Yeah.
Type of thing? Okay.
Like indoor.
Okay.
I got in the best shape of my life, totally left my body, and then I like let it go because I'm not really consistent in the gym. But like we tried the whole working out thing together, and I promise you, like 3 out of 5 times would end in an argument. The workout would end early. Like we would just be going at it.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
I'm not gonna lie, it can be intense. Yeah.
He's so intense, and I'm just like, like I don't want to be here. Like let's just start there. I don't want to be here. And then you like pushing me when I don't even want to be here. It's just like too much for me, and I have an attitude as it is. And then like when he's starting to work my nerve in an environment where I don't want to be, it's just like boom.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think what the thing is that I learned over time that I can't teach people the same way that I do for myself.
Yeah, because
That
he
makes
would
sense.
literally
So
be
funny.
like, I can't do a pull-up. He would be like, no, you can do it. And I'm like, I cannot do a pull-up. He's like, no, get up there and pull yourself up. And I'm like, Christopher, you're not listening to me. Like, I literally cannot get up there. And I have, like, long nails naturally. So I'm, like, literally, like, clawing at myself, trying to pull myself up. And he's like, no, like, do this. And I'm like,
Pull-ups are hard though. Like
They
They
are.
are the hardest thing.
it's like right now I can do probably 10 straight. And then if I stopped, like, because I've been doing them consistently, next week I couldn't do 10 straight.
right.
Like, it's
It's
just, you either can
so
do them.
hard. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, that's one thing. Like, for a while, like, that was my goal. I was like, I want to do, like,
Yeah.
one pull-up. And
What
I was
about the
like,
bands? Have you tried, like,
No, we
No?
never tried because every time we go to the gym,
Yeah.
you can, like, put
There
like,
was-
band and then you put
Yeah,
your
but
knees
I
in the
would
band.
try
Yeah.
to assist you, and you would do it though. You would
yeah,
do it.
he would
That's how
literally
you would
like,
start doing them.
Yeah.
And then you eventually get to,
But
like, no.
Yeah.
to say like what irks my nerve.
That's funny. Hold on. But
Go
that's
ahead.
funny, though, that you're just, like, get up there and do a pull-up.
like
come
he
on,
would
bro.
be like, try. He would literally be like, you're not trying hard enough. And I'm
That's
like,
so funny.
I'm literally
I'm the same way, though.
trying.
Like, yeah. I'm the same
Look,
way.
my thing is, it drives me up the walls when people say I can't.
Yeah.
Because if you can't do it, I will help you.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
You just wanted to try. Yeah.
Just try.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
But
I can
and now
respect it.
that we started this challenge,
Uh-huh.
you made it clear in the beginning, do not go hard on me, don't go ham on me
Yeah.
if you work out. And then
No.
I was like, cool. But will you at least, and she said, I'll at least try.
Yeah, I already knew
So,
what he
boom.
wanted. Like, before he could even finish the sentence, I was like, yes, I will at least try.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we haven't been in the gym together because, like, our schedules are
But
just...
even so, like, I will say that I am proud that you've been consistent and you do work out. If you can't like do maybe the whole 45 minutes, you at least go for a 20-minute walk, and
Yeah.
then you come home and do the rest of the time maybe a home workout or something like
Yeah.
that.
I literally will, like, walk on my lunch, so I, like, don't
Yeah,
have
and
to spend
I'll
that much time. Like,
I'll salute that because she's trying and she's just trying to be consistent. And
Yeah.
the thing with the 75-day challenge is it's going to get easier as you become more consistent with it. And now you
Mhm.
can maybe graduate to, I know you're at work, but like if you go on a walk, a 20-minute walk, maybe jogging 20 minutes and then running, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, but I'm in work clothes. So.
Well, I'm just saying if you were
Yeah.
outside of work, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think about that challenge?
I think it's a difficult challenge. I think it's cool that you guys are sticking to it, though.
Yeah.
Day 8 out of 75.
It's going to get interesting when
during
you
the
get to
holidays.
like day 50
Yeah.
and you're like almost there and there's going to be temptations.
My buddy Judah was doing that. He was running
Oh, I like that name, Judah.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty cool
I
name.
like that name.
He was running a 5K a day, and I think he did
Shout out to
90
Judah.
days.
What?
Yeah, I think we talked about it during the Superior Man podcast.
Yeah.
90 days, 5K a day, so it's like what, 3.26 miles or something like that.
I don't know.
And he would literally, there were days where he was in like slacks and he would run it.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And he
That's-
broke it like over and over. So he would get like 50 days, break it, start over.
Mm.
Like, bro, he's intense. He's an intense guy.
Wow.
But anything that you do for like an extended period
Yeah.
is difficult.
Now they say supposedly to form a habit is 21 days,
Mhm.
but in reality, I don't know if you've heard, it's actually like 90 days.
Yeah. The author of Atomic Habits, his
Mhm.
name's James Clear.
Mhm.
He like wrote about that, and I watched a podcast where he talked about that. He was like, it's very, people say that like the 20-day or whatever, but it's like way more complex than that.
yeah,
Like,
because funny thing is, like, I don't want this whole thing to be about
No, go
working
ahead,
out,
go-
going to the gym.
Go ahead.
But he had challenged me. I think it was to 20 days. Remember? Like,
What?
20 days in the gym.
Oh,
In a row?
yeah,
in a
yeah.
row.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did it. And look at me now. I still don't go to the gym. That just goes to show like that rule is like,
maybe you got to get into like yoga or something.
I know what I like.
What do you
So,
like?
spin.
I like
class.
to spin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to convince my husband to let me buy one and put it in the house, but he's like, heck no about it.
We don't have.
We have a
much
Peloton
room.
in my house.
Why'd you have to say that?
My bad. They're expensive though, bro.
Bro,
That's
what you
literally
want.
what I want.
Honestly, they're difficult to do consistently because it like makes your legs really sore. And if you're, well, I like work out on the side, obviously. So it's like you get on it and your legs are already sore, and then
That's
It's rough,
We can
though.
just go to his house.
No, I want one in my own home.
they're cool.
That's-
There's one at my work too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
They're
and you gotta
so
like put the shoes on and they
No,
snap
you
in.
don't.
Oh, you don't?
No,
Is that an option or something?
Yeah, that's an
Okay.
option because usually most of the bikes they will have like the loop that you can put
Like,
your
she's
foot in.
researched it. Yeah,
And
she
then
knows.
on the
She knows.
other side is the hook. So like if
Okay.
you have the
Oh,
shoes, you can
okay.
just slide your shoes into it. But the other side has like the little loops you can put your feet
Yeah.
on.
I
No, it's pretty cool though. I mean,
it's very cool.
expensive though.
Yeah,
I don't know
but
if it's worth
I
it.
mean,
Like, it's a
What?
lot.
the price is it's whatever, but like
Yeah.
it's just the space that it takes up. Where are we gonna put that?
Yeah, low key.
in the middle of the
The living room?
It'll be our little coffee table.
Maybe on the balcony?
No,
No?
I wouldn't.
I
go
mean,
outside.
I'd be down for that.
You like anything
Out of sight, out of
outside.
mind, you know?
Yeah, literally.
Well, for you.
I did want to ask you guys, since the holidays are coming up, my favorite holiday is coming up just around the corner next week, Thanksgiving.
Big boy over here.
Big boy. I wanted to know, just real quick, what is a must-have dish for Thanksgiving? What is like the thing that you must have? I want to know a must-have and like a runner-up, like, two things. Go ahead, Tanner. I'll let you
Oh,
go.
you gonna
first.
let
You
me
look
go
like you
first?
ready to answer.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
The first thing that came to my head is like my grandma makes rolls,
Okay.
right?
That's
And I
dope.
love to put ham inside the rolls.
Are they fresh rolls?
Yeah.
That's dope.
And you put butter on them, ham
Mm,
inside the roll.
Mm.
That sounds good.
It's delicious.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Must have is for sure mac and cheese,
Agreed.
and then
Like homemade.
yes. Oh, my
Multiple
mom.
cheeses.
Yeah.
Yes, my mom makes the best mac and cheese. Shout out to you, mama.
I know she's listening too.
Yeah, I know.
She's listening
She's
for
like,
sure.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
Her mom and my mom listening for sure. They listen to every episode, bro.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But my mom's mac and cheese for sure, and then the very close runner-up is dressing. I don't know if you know what that is.
Dressing?
Yes.
Not ranch dressing.
I couldn't tell you what's in it, but I feel like I've had it at
It's
a
like
Thanksgiving dinner.
what
Like,
your culture calls stuffing,
okay. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
but
it's-
we
it's the
call
same-
it
it's the
dressing
same
Yeah.
thing.
because we
They-
make it with cornbread instead of breadcrumbs.
Okay.
Yeah. By
Yeah.
the way, I don't know if we can have that.
I know. I was kind of
That's
like,
awesome.
you know what? Maybe I was like, if Chris doesn't bring it, I'm not just kidding.
My thing is, can I have some pie? Is that
You
bread?
can't have the crust. You can have the filling. You
Ooh.
can't have the crust.
Man, that's gonna be hard.
I know.
For me, it's number one is mac and cheese. You gotta have mac and cheese. Number two is my mom's Puerto Rican rice. Shout out
You
to
have
my
to
mom.
say what it's called.
Arroz con gandules.
There we go.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so I know you've been reading a new book that I'm actually really
Mhm.
interested to know about. Have you got into it a little bit? Digital
What book is it?
minimalism.
Yeah, it's called Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched a podcast that he was on like months ago where he talks about, the premise of the book and how he stumbled into it. And so far I'm only still like in the introduction, so I'm not deep into it, but
So what is it about?
it's about, like, the subtitle of the book is Choosing a Focused Life in a Noisy World, I believe. So it's about using social media for its advantages and then kind of finding a way to sidestep the disadvantages.
Mm-hmm.
Like becoming obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from what I heard in this podcast, he kind of like details a 30-day detox of all social media and like and just digital media in general, like the internet in general. and then you
Oh.
come back to it and then choose what you want and how you're going to use it.
So
So-
you have like control over it.
So like he gave the example in the podcast of coming back to Instagram and then unfollowing certain accounts, following only the accounts that you find value from, and then checking those only on a Saturday for like 2 hours or
Oh
whatever.
wow, so it's like really like
Focused.
yeah.
Yeah.
So does that detox consist of like a complete detox? Like you cannot use it at all.
Yeah.
He just said like internet and everything.
Yeah. So you detox and then you come back to it and it's okay, like what did I miss really? Like, you know, what do I feel is going to add value to me?
Because I really agree with the whole unfollowing accounts. I think I've
Yeah.
talked about this on the podcast, maybe with you.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah,
What?
it for sure was with me that you talked about how you unfollow people.
Oh yeah, just like I've been doing it since I don't know for a couple years, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
me
where if I
too.
see something it's not adding value to my life, or if it's like negativity or it's maybe something that's tempting, just literally unfollow. Even if I know this person, even if I
Yeah.
was cool with them, like I'm sorry, not sorry, unfollow.
He'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's something that'll get you unfollowed."
And
Yeah.
like,
He'll
I'm
literally
talking about
say it.
like I'm talking about like they just do something crazy. I don't know. I'll just hit unfollow. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I've also been doing that. And another thing that he like so far that I've read in the book, he talked about like the intention of these things that we currently use was much different when they first came out than it is than what it's become.
Very
So he talked
true.
about Facebook, and he's like 35 or 40.
Okay.
And so when he was in college, Facebook came out. And he said his girlfriend, who's now his wife, was one of the first users. She was putting him onto it, right? And she was saying, you know, like the consensus of the college people was that you use Facebook to check on old friends and their like relationship status.
Yeah.
And that was like as deep as it got. And that was
and
it.
if I'm not mistaken, not to cut you off, back in the day, if I'm not mistaken, it was used to connect with other college students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like only college type of thing. Yeah. And so he's just like, he said, even with the iPhone, it's the same thing. Like Steve Jobs had no intention of like, well, not no intention, but when you watch the keynote of the iPhone, it's like, the internet was like at the end of the keynote. He was super interested in merging the phone and an iPod. Those were his intentions.
Yeah.
And so it's like to see what everything's molded into now is kind of like, it wasn't intended to be this. It became this. And so now we have to kind of like step back and say, okay, what are the consequences of that?
Right. Huh.
And so I think that's like a very interesting thing.
Yeah, very.
Like, what are the consequences of all these different evolutions?
You think everybody should go on a digital detox?
I think so. I go on mini detoxes. 30 days is obviously rough.
Yeah.
But
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Especially like being a female, I think it is important for like all of us to take a step back because we can be very like intertwined with what other people want from us and what they expect from us and what we should look like and what we should say and what we should post. And like you can just see that even like in the younger girls nowadays, like everybody's like, oh my gosh, why do they look so old? Well, let's really take a step back. Why do they look so old? Because on social media, that's what's attractive. And little girls, all they want to be is like attractive. They want to be accepted. They want to look like their favorite person on Instagram. So what do? They like wear makeup. Like I'm like 14-year-olds. Like when I was 14, I was not wearing makeup. I think my mom was like, oh, you could put a little concealer on if like you have a bad pimple or something like that. Like something so like minute. And now like these girls like have full on like beat faces. And I'm just like, wow, you look older than me.
yeah.
Do you guys ever go on social media and feel like, man, they have something that I want and it maybe kind of discourages you?
Yeah, for sure.
In what sense?
I think it's only human.
Yeah.
Like you kind of see something, you're like, oh man, I want that. Like even as a little kid, like you see somebody with a toy and you're like, oh, like I wanted that toy. Like mom didn't give me that toy. It's like kind of the same thing. Like you're like, dang, I'm busting my butt to get this, and then you look over and someone else has it. You're like, damn.
Yeah.
I wanted it first.
My thing is, I totally agree with that, but I've kind of conditioned myself not to think like that because, as you know, social media is literally what you can make it to be. So a lot of people out there are faking it until they make it.
True.
So I take whatever I see on the social media, on the internet, with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
You know?
what's the saying? Comparison is
The thief of joy.
yes, there we go.
Yeah, and I live by that for sure. I be telling people that all the time.
Yeah,
Everybody's timing is going to come at God's timing, you know?
that's
Yeah.
very true.
So, moving on, I actually came across this article. Well, it was a statistic that I heard on a podcast. And I went ahead and I looked a little bit more into it, and I found it really interesting. And I was telling you about it last night, Morgan. As soon as I loaded up, it's about the top 1% in the world.
Oh yeah.
So I'll read it real quick. It says the wealthiest 1% of the world's population now owns more than half of the world's wealth. So to put that in context for people that maybe don't understand or maybe it went over the head, just imagine 100 people in a room, and in the center of that room is a pie. And one person in that room owns half that pie. And it's up to 99. The other half is for the 99 other people in the room.
That's crazy. No, you explained it a little bit different last night.
Yeah, I did. But I looked it up, and I felt like this one made more sense.
No, but say the other way. You said. Do you
What
want me
did I
to say it?
Yeah, go ahead. You said.
You said
Honestly, I
that
forgot.
the 1% is about to surpass all of what the middle class.
The middle
makes.
class, yeah. Yeah, it might be two different statistics. I just looked this up and I seen this, but that's the one that she said I just heard on a podcast, and I thought it was like just like mind-boggling. Like it just blew my mind.
Like
to really
the middle class.
Go ahead.
The middle class, like, you know, like they work so hard,
And
and like
that's-
they're like the real 9 to 5 that like will go to work when they're dang near half dead.
Yeah.
And then you have like the 1%ers who leverage everything to work in their favor. They're like surpassing them.
Yeah, and just before you say anything, it says the total wealth in the world grew by 6% over the last 12 months, and it grew up to $280 trillion.
That's a lot of money. Can I get some?
You can get some.
I just want a little, just like a little bit of that.
So what's your thoughts on that, bro? Like,
I was just
to
gonna
me, like, it's just, I was thinking about it in the car, and it
Yeah.
just like, it just blew my mind. Like, I think the way I put it in perspective for myself, the whole pie thing,
Yeah.
it's like one person owns half that thing. You guys eat the rest.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna eat very much if it's 99 other people. You know what I'm
get a
saying?
little lick.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's like more complex than I can even comprehend, to be honest. Like, just thinking about, I don't know, thinking about like Bill Gates or like Jeff Bezos and the things that they've created. And I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's just they're anomalies.
Yeah. For
Very
sure.
And so
true.
it's like you can't really blame them.
No.
They're anomalies, you know? Like I read that book Outliers, and it talks about how Bill Gates was born in this time that was favorable to, it was like a period of 4 years that you could be born in where you were like at the perfect age when the tech boom happened.
Wow,
And
I
he was
didn't know
born
that.
in a city that had a high school that had a computer programming program. And he was able to access that, and from that he learned how to computer program, and then he made Microsoft or like.
Do you think?
So it was kind of
So-
like set up in his favor, you're saying.
It's like,
But he took
he's
advantage of those
100%.
opportunities.
He was at that high school, like he would stay overnight and like find ways around it to almost go against the rules in order to work harder. And it's like that book goes over outlier after outlier who was just in a specific situation and took advantage of it. And
Now
you
look
know.
at
Now,
them.
I got two questions for you.
yeah,
So the first question: do you think it was luck, or do you think that we all get those same opportunities and maybe we haven't took advantage of them yet, or we haven't received those opportunities yet?
well, I don't know, man. You think about it, like we were born in America,
That's
Yeah.
an opportunity right there.
you know, like we're lucky.
Yeah.
It's
Very
like,
true. Yeah.
so he was born in that time period. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can call that luck, but I mean, he still works with it and made it what it was. And like, you know, we're born in America, and we can be poor, we can be rich, and we can make it what it is. It's just, I think that it's a very complex thing, you know, like what
Very
happens
true.
to you in life is very complex.
Yeah, and I was listening to Joe Rogan a little bit, and he was saying that at the time Jeff Bezos was the richest man in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and he was saying that honestly he has billionaire friends that think that people in Saudi Arabia have access to over $1 trillion, and Bill Gates and like Jeff Bezos, or these guys are not even nothing compared to these other guys in the Middle East that have own oil companies and that have access to over $1 trillion, and they just not on social media, not in the news. They just kicking back in royalty.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And doing donuts
Yeah, in their Lamborghinis
in their Lamborghini.
and some other weird
In the dunes.
and some other weird stuff on Instagram.
Oh
I don't
my
know.
gosh. So I was telling him.
Don't go too
I'm
deep.
not,
but go ahead.
I'm not. So I was telling him, I'm like, yeah, like those.
And I didn't know what she's about to tell me. I didn't know this at all.
Okay.
I was like, those men have a lot of money out there. Like, they're known for flying girls out. Like, if you know, like, a single girl that, like, has randomly just been able to go to Dubai.
Any of these Instagram models.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yes, it's like, it's some weird stuff going on over there.
They make them do like weird.
They
I don't even
make
wanna
them
get into
do,
it,
like,
but-
How do
really
you know?
weird
Where
stuff.
are you getting this info from?
Well, there's people that have.
One
came
was in
out.
your DMs?
No, definitely not. No. My account is private, so I
Okay.
have to accept you in order for you to send me something.
Okay.
But
Same.
I was I was telling him, like, girls have just came out about it,
Okay.
and it's just like really like
It's
gross
sick.
stuff.
Oh.
It's weird. So
Yeah,
we
I
can go ahead and
can.
look it
I
up
can.
and-
I'll
just-
tell you later. I'm not gonna like put it on here, but it's like some really like these men have a lot of money and they can bring out girls to them to do whatever they want them to do.
Yeah. Strange.
Very strange, but like he's saying, like that's how much money they have. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's an issue with them is like we learned about that in school is like they're kind of trying to transition their economy to more of tourism, at least in Dubai,
oh yeah,
because the oil is going to run out at some point, and
That's very true.
you know.
I would love to go to Dubai, but with my husband, like
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to be flown out.
No, that's wild. Now, would you guys? Can we all agree here that maybe we all kind of strive for that 1% lifestyle, that 1% freedom, that 1%?
Oh, for sure.
Would you kind of agree?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to ask you guys next is what triggered you guys to think like this? Like who maybe like talked to you and that flip in your mind just triggered you to be like, okay, this is what I'm gonna achieve for, and this is how I should be living. This is a lifestyle I should have. You know, who was that? What happened? And when did it happen? I know we're all pretty young, but at what age did maybe you see that flip in your mind?
Morgan can go first.
I think just like I don't think there was like a flip in my mind, but I know there was like definitely a change over time. Just like working for people and they like talk to you any type of way, you're like, oh, I deserve way better than this. I don't want to listen. Not in like a spirit of like I don't want to change or I'm like defiant, but it's just like I know I deserve better and I don't want to work for someone that literally thinks of me as like the bottom, like the lowest of the low.
Do you feel like you have to be a little defiant and go against the rules a little bit?
Yeah, but I don't want to say like, you know, like I don't listen to people and I don't take instruction well and stuff like that. That's why I don't want to work for people. It's just because I know my worth and I know that like I want to be, I've like told Chris so many times, like I want to be able to enjoy our life. I don't want to have to work my whole life to be able to take 2 weeks off out of the year to spend with my family.
Yeah.
Like that to me is just like so mind-blowing. I think like as you grow up, like, you know, like when you're 16, you're like, oh, I can't wait for my first job. Like, can't wait to make my own money. And then like adult life hits and you're like, oh, this is not what it is, like what it's all hyped up to be. Like what it really is like, I want to work for myself. Like I want to be my own boss. Like I want to pick my hours. I want to say when I can leave and when I can't leave. Like,
For me,
it's just out of control.
yeah,
to
for me, I would say like I remember specifically how it happened, when it happened, and everything.
Wow.
Like I knew when the switch happened, I was like, yeah, this is what I want. It was like when I was 17 And I think I told you I started listening to Eric Thomas. Every single Monday. Have I told you?
I'm not sure.
Maybe. I don't know. Every single Monday he used to come out with, and this is where I got Thank God It's Monday. Literally, because every single Monday he would come out with a video.
He still does, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I think he keeps it consistent. Yeah, he puts out some type of content every Monday. Every Monday he would come out with a video, and he would be like in Detroit or he'd be in LA, and it would just be him motivating and like preaching on principles and values and whatnot. And like, I promise you, I think one day I'm gonna meet him and I'm gonna thank him because he literally changed my mind. Like, I can show you guys right after the video, or maybe I'll put it in the podcast at the end. The exact video that I listened to, and I was like sitting in the car with my friend, and he was like, "You need to watch this," and I was like, "What do I need to watch?" He showed me it was like a motivational video by Eric Thomas, and it just like flipped from right there. I was
Who was your friend?
Somebody from Sacramento.
Oh.
Yeah, somebody from Sacramento, and it was like me, him, and my dad in the car, and he showed me this video. I think he was like messing around, but like. It was back in the days, and he showed me, and I was like, bro, this is it right here. So I started listening to him every Monday and literally started changing my mind. And I think also coming out here to Southern California has opened up a new perspective for me and seeing how people live. And just getting out of my environment in Sacramento. And that's one of the reasons why people always ask me, why'd you leave Sac? And that's one of the reasons why is because I felt like I needed to break out of my box and see what else was out there. And I moved to my Uncle John's house. And if you've been to my Uncle John's house, he has I thought I was living in a mansion, bro. It was like, what is like a 4-bedroom house or something like that. He has a really nice house with a pool and everything. And I thought I was living in a mansion. Like, I was like, bro, this is wild. People live like this out here. And just driving around Rancho Fontana, there's nice houses everywhere. So, you start surrounding yourself with people and you start seeing how they're living, and you start seeing little materialistic stuff like cars and whatnot. And you're like, wow, like this is possible. And then like, it's definitely a transition learning process. And then going to that, I went to Eric Thomas conference. It's literally called the 1% conference. And just going to the conference and seeing people that literally look like me, dress like me, all have the same goals, and like they're telling you, they're just empowering you, which is like, that was it for me. I was like, this is a lifestyle I want. This is what I'm going to go after. And just the resources that these people have and the relationships that they have. It's not just the money. It's not just the wealth. It's not just the materialistic stuff. It's the resources they have access to and the relationship. And it's
like the quality of living.
The quality of living, And we talk about it all the time on the podcast. Like, it's no disrespect to anybody or like the past generation or like our parents or anything, because they definitely made sacrifices. But
for sure.
And we're grateful for that. But I want to be able to go to my kids' football game, basketball game, whatever during the day, and not have to worry about like calling in sick. Or I want to be able to take them to Disneyland on a random day on a Wednesday or something like that. Just pull them out of school and just take them to Disney. Just have that access and that freedom. That's what we want and we strive for. We want to be able to like take a week vacation somewhere random,
Yeah, definitely.
That's kind of the deeper answer.
Yeah.
But that was kind of the flip for me, and like,
What was your flip? You're younger than you're not.
He's younger, but I feel like he has an interesting perspective because he's very educated. So
I mean, for those who don't know, I'm 21. Yeah. But mine was, like, in retrospect, I can look at it. But my father was very successful when I was young. So he created a company, and that company was worth about $5 million. And so we were living really well. And then he lost the company, went bankrupt, and lost everything. And so now, as a grown man, I can look at the contrast of the stress that he suffered, losing everything. And, you could just look at those two different types of lifestyles and say which one you want.
Right.
And so it's really like, I'd say that's probably like the major influence for me is like, okay, I want to live well. I want to live better. I want to do better for myself. But also with like reading, it's like reading too it's like completely changed my life, Wow. And I say this over and over, but man, it's like just so much is on my mind from everything that I've read.
Now, do you think watching your dad go into business and you would say that you guys maybe had a little bit more than others? Would you say that?
Yeah, and I mean it's like deeper than I can even explain in this podcast, of course. But like, yeah, he was doing really well. Like, he had a 750 Li BMW.
Yeah, so do you think that benefited you, or do you think that did you think it benefited you in any way? Because some people, they're around success and they're used to it. They're used to it, and they get kind of spoiled by it. Yeah,
I think that it was beneficial that he lost it. You know, selfishly for me.
Right.
Because like I said, you see the contrast. Okay, like this is how things were going. Even with him and my mother, like when he lost everything, they were about to get a divorce. I remember they sat me down at one point and were like talking about this.
Because it just brought so much stress.
Yeah, because it just everything was being lost. Like the house, the cars, everything. And so seeing that is just like, man, like you do not want to live like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's really that simple to me. It's like, you do not want to live like that.
Right, because you like went through it firsthand.
Yeah. And you see what it does to a person.
And it's crazy because some people might see that, and most people that will hear that story or like go through that, they'll be scared to do it themselves, and they're gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna be. So that's why I condemned you, and like I appreciate you doing what you got to do, because some people will get scared by that and be like, you know what, I seen my dad lose it all. Yeah. Let me just go get me a little 9 to 5 and be comfortable and you know, be straight.
I'd rather get it and lose it than never have it though. Like to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
Like I want to know.
At least let me feel like let me know what it feels like.
At least try.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't.
My boss is the same way. My boss, his name's David Meltzer. I'm interning in his company. He made $100 million and lost it all.
Oh wow.
So, lost it all
of it.
And so now is he rebuilding himself back up?
Yeah, he is. But
what was his company
that so he real estate investing. He owned a golf course. In 2008 crash. All of it gone. So imagine that.
Wow.
You know, he still lived to tell the tale. Like
literally.
I mean, we only got one life to live, so you might as well, you know, do everything you can.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what he does sports marketing now, right?
So yeah, now he's kind of doing like the Gary Vee thing where he's building his own personal brand. And it's an interesting business model. It's kind of like reverse engineering it by building your personal brand, and then through the recognition you get from your personal brand, it back ends to the business.
I feel like a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah.
It's kind of popular now. So
the first person that comes to mind when I think of that is Kylie Jenner. Like she just like
fair enough,
she was just her, and then through
and
her she came with makeup and everything else, and look, she's like a billionaire.
Yeah.
What do you think separates us from the 1%? If you want, I can try to answer it first.
Well, I think it goes back to like that Outliers book, where it's like,
explain it a little
the
bit.
1% is like, they are the outliers, like, you know.
But what do you mean by outliers?
So they work the hardest. I believe this. They worked the hardest, had the best situations, like everything came together, and that's why they are there.
Do you think everybody has to be? Do you think people get that situation, that opportunity? Because you're saying,
I don't know, bro. You got to think about the 1%. Like, I don't even want to be the 1%. Because what is 1%? Like billionaire?
No, I mean not necessarily. I think the 1%. When I think of 1%, I definitely do think of multimillionaire. I don't. Okay. I'm not thinking.
Yeah, I think we should define what 1% is.
I mean, if you want to look it up real quick.
I'm just saying. To me, in my head, I'm thinking like Mark Zuckerberg. Like,
no, I'm not thinking like
that's like the 0.2%.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's like.
I don't think millionaires.
You don't look it up right now.
I don't think millionaire is 1% though.
I think it might be.
You think so?
Can I say what I think the 1%?
Yeah, go ahead.
1%ers are. I think it is like the millionaires for sure.
Okay.
But I also think it's more of like people who have like financial freedom.
Okay.
So it's like, yes, you can have a job, but then again, like, do you have that freedom, financial freedom to do what you want with your family or like, with your time? and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So my definition of a 1%er is someone that has, like I said, has financial freedom, that has access to resources that most people don't, and basically live on their own term. And more likely than not, they are multimillionaires. I'm not saying that they're billionaires. I'm not saying that they got to make $50 million a year, but they got some money, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so according to like the top 1% by income, it's actually not as much as you think.
500,000.
Do you guys want to guess?
I'm gonna say 500,000.
What do you?
Now that you said that, maybe 500,000.
I'd say above 5 million.
No,
Okay.
you're close. It's $434,000
A year?
Yeah.
Or what?
So you telling me you can't
For
be
a
no
household,
1%?
$434,454.80.
That's lucky not a lot. Like,
yeah. And so
But that's the thing that's sad though.
But
If
wait.
you think about it.
no, okay, hold that thought. Is that to be considered a 1%er? That stat right there.
For a household, the number I just told you is the cutoff for the top 1% by household income.
And now why do you believe?
However, there are quite a few ways to slice it.
yeah, I'm sure you
There's
could look at
always-
like net worth.
Yeah,
one
exactly.
percenters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how do you believe that it's sad? 'Cause I think this is, you about to say something pretty interesting.
I think it's sad because how in the heck are we all in America and that is all you have to make to be in the 1%?
And it's not
You
a lot.
mean to tell me that there are people in this world that are like literally struggling and all you have to do, we're over here like, oh yeah, you got to be like a multimillionaire like to be in the 1%. Like
yeah.
you got to be making mad
Billionaire.
money. But then in all reality, to set yourself aside, all you have to make is $500,000
Yeah.
because there's so many people in America.
Who are like poverty level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's two things that separates us from 1%er. It's exposure. So being around that type of wealth and that type of money, being around people that make $400,000, you see the possibilities and you see that this is very possible and very doable to do. So like I've told you times where I've recently been around people that, good on time?
Yeah. No, we're good. Keep going.
I've literally been around people that, you know, we hear people, oh, we want to make $60,000 a year and we'll be solid. That's average, $60,000 a year. But I've literally recently been around people that make $60,000 a month, and that's like a new level of money. You know what I'm saying? And so when you're around those people, it opens up possibilities for you. And for me, the second thing is, I think it's just a mentality.
I knew you were gonna say
It's just
that.
a mentality. You were kind of diving into it.
Right.
You know, to me, it's just a shift in your mentality.
Yeah, and I think kind of Tanner was getting to that in exposure in regards to the outliers because in those outliers, they are exposed to different things.
Yeah.
They're exposed to like how you were saying Bill Gates.
Yeah.
He was exposed to that school. He was exposed to that program. And what did he do with those experiences in those programs? He just bettered himself. He took advantage of them to the fullest potential that he could possibly take them.
Yeah, and like my perspective of the 1%er was completely off, so that's why I was saying those
You're
things.
like, what is
like
the 1%?
like 450,000 a year is totally like
No, but we were all off.
attainable
We
to
were
a-
all
yeah.
really
Yeah.
But
off.
now that you've heard that, hopefully, like you're like, okay, that's very doable.
Yeah,
If you really break down $450,000, if you break it down, literally, it's very doable.
yeah, 100%. And I was just like writing these notes so I don't forget these things, but
Please.
like you were saying, being
And if you guys
surrounded-
have any questions, please ask.
yeah, well, like you were saying, being surrounded by like just affluence is like very inspiring and kind of shows you like what's out there. And so today at my office, this dude gave a speech, and this dude is 37 years old, and he's the founder and CEO of a company called Ever Bowls. And so it's an acai company.
What is it?
Ever Bowls. So it's an acai bowl company.
Oh,
They make
okay.
acai.
Yeah,
It's
I've
like-
heard of that.
it's
I
like
think I've heard of
nectar.
that.
They're in San Diego. There's one in
Yeah.
Huntington. And this guy came by, gave a speech in our office, and he was talking about vertical integration. and he was talking about
For
how
people that don't know, explain it real
Yeah,
quick.
because I don't know.
so vertical integration is basically owning every aspect of your company's like supply chain. And so with his acai company, he was talking about.
Can you explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, I'm gonna go into.
Okay.
So with the acai company in particular, he doesn't own the land, but he'll own the building, okay, where the acai is, everything inside of it, and then when he sources the product, there was a middleman. He's cutting the middleman out as he sources the product, and he has a farm where he farms the fruit, and so he makes the acai and the fruit, and it's his. He owns it, and so now he can sell it and source it to other companies like Nectar. And so from that, he's got a spin-off company.
Right.
I forget the name of it because he can't sell Everbowl to Nectar, right?
Yeah.
So he made a spin-off.
He's like, I'm going to sell my fruit to you guys.
Yeah. So he sells the fruit that way. And he said he undercuts the middleman because he doesn't need to make a profit like that. And so he explained it like, I'm undercutting the middleman because I make the fruit, and so I can order larger quantities, and it's going to my company. And then I sell the rest to other companies. And then off that, he built another company called, I think it's We Build, W-E Build. And
I think I've heard of that too.
And this company is like IKEA for franchises. So they basically wholesale everything you need to franchise like an acai place. And so
That's interesting.
they build all the furniture, everything that goes into his acai places, and they're starting to do it for other companies as well now. And so he's vertically integrating all of these companies, owning every aspect of the supply chain, and just cutting out every middleman. And so it's like he has his hand in every pot, and it's just
So
like,
he becomes people's middleman.
yeah. And so he talked about he's at the San Diego Padres.
And he's almost like eliminating everything. Like I don't have a guy for that. I am the guy.
Yeah. And so he talked about he got a spot at the San Diego Padres stadium for his acai company, and they gave him this spot, and they were like, okay, we can't get you in until 2020, and because they were like, it just takes 6 months to build this, and he was like, I have my own company, it'll take 2 weeks. And they were like, we don't believe you. And so he did it in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
So he showed us a picture of it, and it's,
it's
this
there and alive.
Yeah, it's this like wooden stand, and it's 26 feet, I think. And then the stadium came to him and said, we want you to do this for 14 of our businesses in the stadium. And so it's just like being in this room with this guy
and hearing that
is doing this. And then from this, he sees this opportunity and creates this company. And then it's like,
that's crazy.
It goes back to what you were just saying. That's why I brought this up.
It's like, inspiring and motivating.
Yeah. It's just like, man, how do you see this? How are you taking this to this to this? Like, it's insane to see somebody that's doing it on that level.
Right.
Yeah, that is insane.
And I also wanted to talk about the 10% tithing. Is that what
let's do it.
The pastor was saying?
Okay. Okay. So
I was thinking about this in the car.
Let me.
You're like, this was not escaping my mind.
No. That's good that I like that you brought
That's
it
why
up.
I wrote it down.
No, you good. Let me transition a little bit. So recently, the three of us went to church, Abundant Living. Shout out to Abundant Living. It was Tanner's first time going, and would you say you enjoyed yourself?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it was. I think it was like the perfect day for him to go because the worship was on point. They was going crazy. It was like a concert in there. The message was phenomenal.
It was about character.
It was about character, which is Tanner's really big on. All of us are really big on.
Yeah.
And I guess there's some other things that interest you.
Yeah. So he was talking about giving. And I just wanted to kind of hear you guys' perspective on this because I was thinking about like how he mentioned giving 10% to the church. Like, I was just thinking about giving 10% in general. Like, because what sparked this was, I heard somebody have a conversation about this, but it's like everywhere you go, they have a tip thing now. And like, even at a coffee shop, I pay $5 for a coffee and they want a tip.
I don't, honestly, like, in those places, I'm like, nope.
Yeah, and I feel some type of way. I feel some type of way both ways. If I give the tip, I'm like, okay, like, should I have done that? And then if I don't give the tip, I'm like, should I have given a tip?
Yeah.
But it's like interesting. Like, do you think that like giving 10% needs to be in a specific place, or can you consider giving 10%? Like, I had this thought: giving 10% to people instead of to the church.
Okay, so can
Okay,
I
go
dive
ahead. You
into
go ahead
this?
and go.
Because I'm
She probably gonna answer the same way that I'm gonna answer it. Go ahead.
okay because we're big on tithing.
Okay.
Like every time I get paid, I just like go ahead like and pay my 10% because like
Straight to the church.
Straight to the church.
Okay.
Through my phone. Perfect app called PushPay. If your church doesn't have it, hit them up. But how you're saying, why don't you just give it to people? I am giving it to people. Because my church doesn't just see it as 10% for us. They see it as 10% for everybody around us. So my 10% will go to Cambodia for an orphanage out there for girls who have been in sex trafficking, which I'm like absolutely like everybody knows it's a huge thing going out right now here in America, and it's been going on for years out in other countries. So my 10% goes to that. My 10% goes to the little kids in the little Sunday church that have never been to church before, and they see a loving face there, you know?
So are you okay with giving that 10% and just having the church do with it what they will?
Yes, because my church is an open book in regards to that.
Yeah.
I can understand why some people don't want to give 10% because the church is not open. They say you tithe, and then you're like, where does my tithes even go to?
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, like every other church I've been to, I did not tithe. I will be open about that.
And I say that because for me, I feel like it would be more gratifying literally giving it to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I can see the impact on your face.
But then, but then in that sense too, how we're having a Thanksgiving donation drive at my church, I can literally go and serve and see the faces that I'm actually helping out, that will literally come in their car and have their kids in their car and look like they're living out of their car. Literally looking like they're
I helped out.
Yeah, last year he helped out, and he was like, it's just crazy. Like, he even said there are some people that are literally helping, and when it gets slow, they get in their own cars and come and get food. Because they might not have money to give, but they have their time to give. And that's the thing. If you don't have money, you can tithe in any other way too. But I'm saying if you don't have money. Don't make it like, oh, I have money, but I don't feel like giving it to the church, and I know where it's going, and then but I'm just gonna give my time because that will be sufficient for that. No. It's not a one or the other. It's if you don't have this, then you can do it this way, and we're gonna work up to you being able to tithe.
And just to add on to that, so if you didn't know, there was 1 year where I quit my job and I was just focusing on school. And so obviously I was going to church for that 1 year, but I literally damn near didn't have no money coming in. But I was still giving. Like, at the least I was like, I still need to give $10, $5. I need to give something to build up to tithing. And like she said, the thing about our church is you see the progression. They'll show you like the whole progression. Some churches, you tithe and they say, oh, we're going to get a bigger property in 5 years. 10 years later, we still sitting in plastic chairs. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the pastor, he makes a good, Pastor Dago always makes a good point. He's like, the money goes to Cambodia, kids in the children's church, toilet paper that you consume and use. So they say, you come in here and you consume our stuff, you sit in our nice chairs, you listen to our good music, but you can't give back to the church. And you can clearly see, like she said, where the progression is coming from. And one last thing for me about that is, they say, you know, when you give outside the church, that's not tithing. That's just like an act of kindness that you're doing. I forgot the exact word to use, but that's just you being kind. That's not tithing. That's not what it says in the Bible.
Because tithing is pertained to the church.
Yeah, I'm completely unfamiliar with that. Like,
no, I'm glad
that's
you
why I
asked.
asked, because
that was a really good question.
It was really cool. I liked how he was talking about how he was giving.
Now I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Now, when did you say the last time you went to church?
Probably like 2 months prior to that Sunday.
And did you, I think Morgan asked you that, have you experienced a church like that before?
In what regard?
Like the whole ambiance, the worship, the messages, the people that were greeting you and whatnot? Have you felt that vibe?
It was a
somewhere
good
else?
experience.
It was a good experience. Okay,
Yeah, it was
cool.
very positive.
Would you go back?
Yeah.
Are we gonna see you there this Sunday?
He's like,
Put him on the spot a little too
Shoot.
much.
Hey, we could do that. Yeah, we could do that.
No. I mean, I don't ever, you know me. I don't force people to do anything.
No.
Yeah.
But what else? Like, did you have any other questions about the church? Because I know, you know, there was a good message, but he was saying some stuff that maybe could rub people the wrong way.
Yeah.
I feel like every time, like, someone that, not saying that you haven't been to church in a while, but some people that haven't been to the church for a while, or even just like us, like in general, like some messages are going to rub you the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like everybody's been through something different, and something might be a trigger. The pastor might say something, and it's just like, ugh.
For me, and if he rubbed me the wrong way, I almost feel like the message is for me and he's speaking to me, and I need to listen and apply it.
100%.
To me, I'm not the one to, what's the word I'm looking for? Help me out. I'm not like, I take constructive criticism well. Like, I'll take it and apply it.
Right.
I'm not going to be offended is what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it was very interesting when he was talking about giving. Like, I really liked how he was talking about character. I feel like he did get off track sometimes.
He does. I mean, like, honestly, I want to say just about almost all the time he'll like go off on a little tangent, and then it'll come.
Because I really loved like let's talk about character. Like you said, that's like one of my favorite things to learn about. Because I feel like character is the difference between having character and not is like the most minute decision.
You think so?
Very sure.
I think so. 100%. I think so because it's like it's so easy for me to like mess up and live incorrectly. It's the easiest thing. It's the easiest thing to go do this with this person. And
right.
It's the easiest thing. But like to make that decision is like, it's
It's
just
a
as
split-
easy almost, but it's
Yeah.
hard at the
It's
same.
hard.
It's just like a degree left. You know, it's like you mess up
Literally.
and your character is tainted. Like,
Mm.
so that's why I really love reading about character and integrity and like listening to people talk about it. It's just like,
Very
What books
true.
have you read on character?
well, I would just say like The Way of the Superior Man and like just
I feel like that's you guys' favorite book.
I'm telling you.
me 100% for
Thank
me.
God that you put me on that book because I be trying to put at least other guys on that book.
Yeah.
And if you're not reading that book, like shame on you, bro. Like this thing will literally help you, like in your life, practically, and just change your mindset. And it's just like, this is like to me, it's damn near the perfect book for a male. Like it's just,
Like every time not that I've like hung out with you guys a long time, but like every time you guys are together and I'm around, like I always hear you guys talk about that book. I'm like, dang, they really like that
No,
book.
like literally every time, like every conversation I
is
have,
there a
I
way of a
drop it.
superior woman?
Man, it should
Oh
be.
my god.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, but like, and I tell people to read that book, and like they damn near don't take me serious. I'm like,
Yeah.
bro.
It is what
But
it
all
is.
you, like how you
can lead them to the lake.
exactly, but you can't make the horse drink.
You're right.
But
For sure.
as far as like character and that, it's not necessarily character that he talks about, but it's like what's right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
What
Your
is a-
decision making.
what does a superior man do,
Mhm.
and what does an inferior man do?
Mm.
And it's like the dichotomy between the two.
I like how you put that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you just reminded me about a part in the book. You can explain it way better than me. I want to know her opinion about it. But the whole, and this is the way of superior man again. The whole section about this is gonna be like it's gonna be interesting. The whole section about like a man that's in a relationship,
Yeah.
but still feels other women's energy.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to like explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, with Morgan here. Yeah, let's do it.
Now this is a book perspective.
Okay,
but-
yes, I'm not
but
gonna
I'll go
jump
out-
down your throat.
Okay.
I'll go out
Okay.
on a limb and say like I completely agree though.
Okay, go ahead.
with
Okay.
it.
I think we've talked about this. And I shared my opinion about it.
Yeah.
Me, you, and Judah.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I love
So-
that name. I'm sorry.
It's the son's
Judah.
name.
Shout out to Judah.
Shout out Judah. No, but he gives the example in the book of you're dropping off like this 16-year-old babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
You're a grown ass man, like you have a wife, and you're driving back this babysitter to her house, and he's saying like you feel this overwhelming presence of her young, youthful, feminine energy, and you just kind of like indulge in it
You kind of get caught up in it.
You just feel it. You don't have to act on it, but it's there and you feel it. And like, I 100% resonate with that. Being a young man is like, when you're surrounded by like an attractive young woman that's the same age as me, you feel energy. Like it literally heightens my energy.
Right.
So that's like, I think that when you're in a relationship, in a committed relationship, you're married or whatever, like you can still feel an attractive woman's energy, and for a woman you can feel an attractive man or a masculine man's energy, and like it can benefit you in a way. Like,
now just two things real quick for people that are listening. This is not for closed-minded people. This is for open-minded people. This is not for the lighthearted. So yeah, just be open-minded about this. And the second thing is, you said that you had experience with like just playing around and feeling off of other women's energy while you were at work, right?
Yeah, like just a fun, playful back and forth.
Nothing.
It's
like
just conversation.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah, it's conversation. Like you might say, like, I mean, it's like flirtation. You know, it's going back and forth. And like when you're single, you can indulge in it a little bit more in a little different way. It's like just this playful back and forth, and you can kind of like feel energized off.
Now, do you want me to give my opinion, or do you want to go?
You can give your opinion.
So, when me, him, and Judah were talking, I was like, and not just because I'm in a relationship and I'm married, I can't get myself into that because I feel like it's too much of a fine line to like tip over,
right,
and mess around and mess up. And for me personally, I was telling him, I was like, I can't even indulge in that because of like the family history, and like you don't want to play with
curses.
those spirits.
Right.
You don't want to play with those spirits. You don't want to bring up that generational curses. So for me, I just take myself out of the equation. That's what I'm good at. Like the whole unfollowing people, just taking right out the equation.
Yeah.
Maybe someone like you that maybe more disciplined, or that you're single, you're able to do that. But for me personally, I just have to take myself out of it. I definitely see the perspective in the book and your perspective as well, though.
Yeah.
My turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I am a big person on energy, like bad and good. So just as much as people are like, they have bad energy, stay away from them. But if someone has good energy, you want to draw to them. And even if it's a man or a female, you like, people are naturally drawn to each other's energy. But like you're saying, there is a very fine line, especially when you're in a relationship, whether to know if that energy is like mutual, like, oh, like I like you, like energy, like we're trying to take it to another level, or just good company energy. Like me and you have good energy, but we have very boundaries for it. Me and you have very good energy, and we have a relationship.
No boundaries.
Okay.
This guy.
No boundaries. That should be the name of the podcast.
Literally. So it's just all about that. Like, it's like I definitely can understand where you're coming from as an older man. Like, you know, I think Chris and I were speaking about this. Like, an older man hits his prime at like 30.
No, he was telling us.
Oh, 30 something years old. So he feels like he's in his prime. Like, look at me. Like, I got my life together. I got my career. Like, I got the car that I want. Like, all of this. And young, like, females, we feel like we're at our prime at like 20 years old. Like, we got it all together. Body's looking right. We have what we want. We have like job or school, like whatever it is. So naturally those two energies are going to attract because we know what we want, and an older man knows what he wants. So I can see how, like, in that sense, like, oh, he gets in the car and he feels that energy because he's in his prime and she's in her prime. But he's in a relationship, so he knows to draw that line of, okay, I feel her energy and it is something that, you know, makes me feel good, but I have to draw that line because everybody feeds off of everybody's energy.
Well, and another thing that they talk about in that book is polarity, and keeping polarity in a relationship, in a long lasting relationship. And so like he gives the example of, like, you can't ask your woman to be your accountant, your best friend, your wife, workout partner.
Literally.
If you ask her to be all of these roles, she's going to do all of these roles and she's going to be poor at all of them. But if you ask her to be your wife and then you have a best friend who's a man,
Right.
and then you have an accountant that you pay, and then you have your finances in order, and it's like you take all of that off of your woman and you allow her to be who she is. And like,
we always talk about that too. Like,
yeah,
I just like to be your wife. Like, yes, we are best of friends, but don't get me wrong, I do have my own best friends.
Yeah.
Like, I have he hangs out with you. He hangs out with Sharma. Like, he hangs out with men.
Yeah.
And I hang out with girls.
Yep.
Because that's just a commonality.
Yeah.
And
So that takes the pressure off of him. Like, he's a man. He's not going to want to sit there and gossip with me and
100%.
share drama. Like, he's not about that. So why would I make him my best friend if I can't chit chat with him?
And
I need to go with the girls.
I see that in my parents' relationship. I don't know if y'all can relate, but I feel like my parents' relationship is not like they spend too much time together, it seems, because they don't like kind of.
No, my parents, like, they have their own friends. Like, they like, and that's kind of where I learn it from too. From my parents, I can say that they definitely have like shown that to me. Like, you need to have your own friends outside of your husband, and you guys can have couple friends. Even his mom always says, like, you guys can have couple friends, but like, you guys need to have your own friends too, because there was people before him, and there are gonna be people not like after him, but people you're gonna meet down the road.
Yeah.
And those are just going to be your friends that you go hang out with that keep you sane for your relationship. Because if it's just me and him, we were together for a week. Like, just literally just me and him. Like, I moved, he moved.
Tension builds.
Like, oh my gosh. I'm like, really? And then when we came back, I went and hung out with my girlfriends. He's like, you know what? I'm so happy you did that.
Yeah.
Because it's just like relieves like everything. Like, I get to go be with the girls and he gets to do whatever he wants to do. So it's just like,
and I feel like as something I learned in the book, that you need to have that separation time. And it's not necessarily like when we were in Oregon for a week together, it's not like, oh, we hated each other, we like enjoy being with each other. But when we came back, I was like, yeah, I'm happy you're going to hang out with your girls, because you need that time with other women and not just with me, because now we start rubbing off each other a little too much. And she's picking up on things I do, and I'm picking up on things she does. And she's not trying to be with herself, and I'm not trying to be with myself. I'm trying to be with Morgan, and she's trying to be with Chris. You know what I'm saying?
And he mentions in the book, like, you guys, when you spend you guys, but in a relationship, man and woman, when they spend too much time together, like, they kind of like exhibit the worst qualities of each other. Do you remember reading that?
Yeah, explain.
He was like, you adopt, or like the wife would adopt the husband's worst qualities. It's like you kind of mold together, and then you just are the worst versions of yourself because you just spent too much time together. It's like separation is necessary.
Yeah. I for sure believe that.
What's the quote?
I feel like you're gonna be so good in a relationship.
That's what
when
I
you get
told
in
him.
Like,
no,
I don't know. It's like reading an application are completely different.
Because
wait, hold on.
Okay.
This guy
Because
right
long-term
here,
relationships are scary. I don't know.
It's not
First
scary.
of all, this guy right here, this is surface level to compare to what we talk about, like the whole retention stuff.
Okay.
She knows about it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But I've told her about it. But it's just,
we could sit here for like 6 hours and go on about this. I don't want to.
Literally, this guy, like, I'm telling you, when he's gonna be in a relationship, he's gonna treat her right. And
Yeah.
he's gonna be solid.
And the thing about it, I feel like he's gonna be in her mind as well. He's gonna be like that guy that like sits down and be like, so what? Let's figure this out.
Man, I'll be thinking about
why
that.
Do you do? But
I'll be thinking about like interesting questions. Like, I really want to pick someone's brain. Like I want to like pick someone's brain. You know, like when you like hanging out with new people. I even do this at school. I'm like, bro, like, what do you think about this? Like, I was talking to my buddy about this, like, and I think I might have mentioned it to y'all, but when I was walking around in Pittsburgh, I was looking around like, everybody's bigger than me, like and like just me, but like I'm
like
5'8"
or taller.
No, I'm 5'8", and like everybody's 6 foot or above around me, and like that really like messes with my mental, like really on some like questioning my own manhood type of thing. Like, am I man enough? And I was talking to my buddy about this. I was like, you ever like go through like things like that? You ever think about that?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, I don't know, bro.
I think you brought it up to me about that situation with the car situation where you're trying to park and he was trying to flex on you and you felt the need to flex back. Because
I think you were telling me about this.
Maybe.
Yeah, I stood outside and I said, "What's
I
up?"
don't mean to like tell your business as a wife, but like,
Nah, it's all good, bro.
No, but
It's
yeah,
really all good. Like y'all, my homies, you know.
But no, but it's a very interesting like way of thinking and topic. You know what I'm saying? So you go ahead and tell the story if you want. You have something to say?
Yeah, I kind of want to say. I like already know the story. I don't think he needs to go into. But the people don't
know it.
But
you can give a recap.
It's just somebody was mad at me because I parked like shitty. And
he tried to flex on you.
So yeah, he was sitting in his car, and I walked back to my car, and he was like yelling at me outside of it or whatever. And I stood there and looked at him, and it's like that split second of making a decision.
Right,
it's
you're like, am I gonna crack him upside his head, or am I just gonna relax?
So I stood there and like had that thought of like, we can do this, you know. And it's like almost
I'm
like
about we can do it. Like,
it's almost like my manhood is being tested in that moment, and how am I gonna react?
Yeah, but can I tell you guys something?
Yeah,
females go through the same thing.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Like,
in what ways?
Even in the same way, like I have to assert that I'm like the head bitch around here.
Yeah,
like
y'all be giving each other that look.
Yes,
that's what it is, bro. You know what I'm talking about? They be giving each other that look, like, oh, she looked at me crazy. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, like
she didn't look at you crazy. She probably just looked at your fit. And she looked at you crazy.
Fit peeping.
No, it's the same thing. Like you have to like, it's a role of dominance.
Yeah.
Like I have to prove that I'm the dominant one, and I like to prove that I am the dominant one. Like
and I was talking to Chris, and I was talking to Chris about that situation. It's like, he was almost saying like, no, you don't need to do that, but it's like, but I don't want to not do it out of fear. Right. You know what I mean?
And that I kind of think when that conversation came up, he asked me, he was like, you know, sometimes like I like every time we go out and there's like a lot of like randoms around, he's like, oh, if somebody touches you, I'm just going off. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh, that's him because he wants to test his strength. He wants to see. Yes, it is that. It is.
I'm saying if it's like, if it's a dangerous environment, like if there's a bunch of bums around, I'll say it for that.
Yes. That's why I said a whole bunch of randoms. Okay, sorry. Homeless people. You good. But I'm
you
just like,
use that word as homeless people?
Man, I just said
I thought you meant just like just random people you don't know.
No, like just randoms, like
bums.
Yeah, they're homeless people. Okay, let me change my vocabulary.
No, you good.
But I'm just like, okay, like that's him. Like if something happens, like he definitely wants to be able to test his strength. Like he wants, and it's part like, of course, I'm his wife and he wants to protect me too. But I'm just like, oh, like I feel like he wants to like kind of test like what he can actually do.
Yeah, and my thing about that is, like I said, if they touch you, it's physical, so there might be something he's gonna match it with back. But in your situation where it's verbal and you can kind of, or I can kind of brush it off, I don't feel the need to entertain a clown. Like I'm not a circus, I'm not gonna entertain you. You're a clown. You know what I'm saying? Like when we were in Sacramento.
I was talking to the guy more than he was talking to the guy.
So like we were crossing the street, and I don't even remember what happened. We were crossing the street, and like he didn't see us or something like that. In his car. That's what I did. Like he didn't. Okay,
we were walking, and it like the light had turned red, so it was our turn to walk. Yeah. So this guy like stops in the middle of the crosswalk. So, like, not almost hits us, but, like, is in the middle. So, like, Chris, like, knocks on his car. Like,
it's like, boom, boom, like, just like.
What's up? Like, why are you right here? Like, and it was, like, the light had been red for a minute. And he, like, just comes, like, flying down. And he, like, stops in the middle. So, Chris knocks on his car, like, what's up? Like, what? Like, bruh, you're in the middle of the thing. And the guy, like, said something. And Chris didn't even say anything. But I was the one to, like, say something. I was like, what?
How do you feel about that? Girls, you would have said something?
Girls, stay doing that. That's the stuff I go to my dad about. I'm like, what's right and what's wrong? Because I don't know. I'm young. And that's why I went to you with that exact situation, because this is the conversation we had. I'm like, what's right and what's wrong? I don't know. I'm young. Like, and I go over this over and over again. And it's like, with like feelings of being insignificant and like all these different things that are on my mind. It's like being naive. It's just like this shit I deal with. And this is like, you know, you were like making a joke like when I'm in a relationship or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like this reading shit really mess you up too.
Because you
like,
know too much.
A year ago, like I sat down with this girl Tutasi. She's kind of like a mentor figure. Yeah, we call her Tasi. I sat down with her and Colin. And I was just telling them like, man, I'm jaded. Like, I don't even like. I feel like bored of life, and I ain't even live life. Like,
wow.
And it was just, I felt like it was right after I finished reading 52 books in that year, and it was just almost like, man, like what are we doing with this? Like, so it's just, I have so much on my mind from the shit. Like,
Do you feel like you know too much?
I don't know.
You're
That
too
sounds
woke.
corny if I say that, but
No, it's not corny because it's very true.
But do you ever feel like somebody knows too much when they get into a relationship?
No, I don't say.
not
and
even a
that's-
relationship
not-
though.
yeah,
Just
not
in
a
life.
relationship,
Yeah,
just
okay.
in life. Like
Yeah.
you just, I understand what you're saying because sometimes I just be like, bro, like sometimes, and I told you this before. Sometimes it's better if you're just literally. It'd be easier if you're naive and you just don't
Yeah.
know.
That's true.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
And when you know too much,
Yeah.
it's just
'Cause
like you
even
sitting
with
in-
we
Go
talked
ahead.
about the retention thing, you know, we ain't
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
go into it, but it's like when I live this way, I'm like, man, this is on the other side
Yes.
of messing up.
Yeah.
And it's like just the fact that I know that causes me pain. It's like,
And by you
True.
now, you going to church and you knowing about tithing and you
Yeah.
know about the other sins, so to say.
yeah,
You know, okay, now you know that. So if you don't do it, it's like now you're thinking in your thoughts that you should be doing it. You
yeah.
know?
And that's why I love character, because it's like when we talk about character, it's like the code of conduct, how you should live. And it's like when you're in harmony, like that's one of my favorite words. When you're in harmony, like with the code of conduct and how you should live, like you feel so good. Like
yeah.
when I meditate and pray and like, stay on my shit, like I feel so good.
Do you meditate and pray every day, or do either one, or?
Lately I've been falling off my meditation, but I've been hitting my knees twice a day, like in the morning and at night, and I feel like that makes me feel so good.
Okay,
Like,
Tanner.
yeah.
I'm proud
Like
of you.
like I really took that from like the Muslims. You know how the Muslims
Yeah.
like Kevin Gates, to be
Yeah.
honest, like
Yeah.
he talks about
That's
getting
your
on
boy,
his knees.
Chris.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
love that dude. Like, but
Yeah.
he get on his knees type of thing. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's powerful. Like,
It's
you really
just a symbol
dedicate
of
that time.
like submission,
Submission,
Yeah.
yeah.
servitude, like
Yeah.
I
you're
try to
just
do.
like
I try to do
bowing
it.
down.
I try to do it every night. Get
Yeah.
on my knees and pray. Yeah.
I need to start doing it. I
yeah.
don't get on my knees and pray.
I like to.
I lay in the bed and
But you pray before meals. I don't do that. So
Oh yeah.
you got one up on me.
Yeah. Can we talk about that really quick? I
Yeah.
know we're probably like super
No,
over
no,
time.
you-
Honestly, we could probably cut this up. You know, do what we need to do. I'm just trying to have this convo though. Like I like.
But
No, it's good. I'm gonna let it go.
Okay.
If you guys are good on time,
Alright.
Hey man, I'm good.
Me
yeah.
too.
I got
alright,
nowhere
we
to
good. We good. Do you want me to tell you where we're at right now?
be. Sure. We got an hour 20.
Hour 17.
Okay.
Okay.
But you go ahead.
So we took Tanner to lunch after church because that's usually what we do. We either go to brunch or lunch. And food comes out and I'm like, Chris is like, oh, do you want to pray? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll pray. And Tanner's like, oh, I'm good. And I'm like, wait.
He's like,
Nah.
He said you don't have to do that.
Oh yeah, he said, no, you
I was
don't
like,
have to
what
do
No,
that.
cause look, it caught me off guard, and I was like already like.
He was
I
already
don't know,
about
I already
to
took
start.
a bite or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, he
I was
was
like,
like, get down.
I was like, we don't like. I don't know. I don't know. I was weird for that. That's my bad.
no,
because
no.
It
You,
caught me
like,
off guard though. I
Didn't
was
know. Like
yeah.
it's like I can't blame people who don't
No,
know.
for
Like
sure.
I'm not like, oh, you were weird for that. Like no, you
No.
just didn't know, and we just had a simple, quick
Yeah.
conversation about it, and then we prayed, and then we ate.
Yeah.
So he was just like, oh, like what?
Yeah.
Like wait, why? And I was like, oh, like I just like to give thanks,
Uh-huh.
like because not everybody is able to eat, and not everybody is able to give funds. So I just like to give my praise and thanks to God before I eat. And we prayed and we ate.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that.
Yeah.
For sure.
And plus, you don't know, like, sometimes there could be something in the food and you just need to pray over it so it don't mess your stomach up.
Most definitely.
Yes.
So you said you were meditating for a while, right? How long would you meditate for?
I still do, but 5 to 10 minutes in the
Mm-hmm.
morning. Like, ideally, I would love to do like 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think it's so hard for people to do?
It's like,
I think
I
I
was
know
thinking
why.
about this the other day.
I think I
but
know why.
I think it's like fear of being alone.
You think so?
Well, for me.
That's a good point. I think people overthink it. When people say, when they talk about meditation, they're like, what do I think about it? What do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
The easiest thing for you to do is just sit there and count your breath, count your breathing. Just do that. Start with that, and then from there you'll kind of elevate. But I think a lot of people just overthink it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's very simple.
Yeah, it's very simple.
I have like
But
I
it's-
tried to meditate, but I
Yeah.
feel like I can't get myself quiet.
It's hard.
It
Like,
is, but that's
if
what.
that makes sense, like I can't get my mind to not like stop
No, but
thinking. I'm
that's
just like,
part
oh
of
my
that's
gosh.
part of the process, and that's kind of part of overthinking. So that's why if I ever talk to people about this, which is rare, I tell them sit there and just count to 10, breathe,
Mm-hmm.
1, count to 10, and then let your mind wander for like a couple seconds, and then bring it back, control it, and do it again. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind is going to wander.
Yeah, I remember
gotta bring
like
it
someone
back.
telling me like to let like your thoughts just flow in and out.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. You just gotta
don't
bring
harp
it
on them
back.
too much.
Yeah.
Just let them flow in and out. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
I feel like I haven't been meditating a whole lot.
Mm.
Usually what I like to do, like in the sauna, I'll sit there and I'll try to meditate. Or if you catch me at church and I'm praying, like I get into this like meditative state. This sounds really weird, but like I'll just close my eyes. You'll catch me closing my eyes and I'll just start praying, and I'll just like repeat things in my head
Yeah.
and condition my mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
And,
I feel like could be different forms of meditation. And I feel
Yeah.
like prayer is one of them. So like if you see me at church and I'm going like this and my eyes are closed, it's probably because like I'm in a meditative. Like it's weird as heck, but that's literally when I get like that. Like don't even touch me, or like you can walk right past me, I won't even know. I'm just like trying to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about like this meditation and how it relates. Like how I said fear of being alone. I think it's also like a fear of your potential type of thing. Like, like I was thinking about this today in the car, because I be driving, that commute. I think a lot. And
Man, I'm over here yawning my commute too.
jeez,
Man.
it'll get you.
Yeah.
But like like it's that one quote of like people like are afraid to reach their potential type of thing.
No, I've heard of that for sure. I've definitely
Yeah.
heard of that.
I know I have that fear, so
Oh, but what I wanted to say was like self-sabotage. Like, do y'all deal with self-sabotage?
I'm a self-sabotager all the
I
way.
deal with that.
Explain it, because I don't really know if I fall into that category.
I mean, for me personally, it's like, especially with women, like
you beat yourself up or something, or what?
you like to sabotage is like to ruin. So like
Yeah.
you ruin it for yourself. Like, and I look at it with women, like things will be going well, and then I kind of like am like, uh-oh, and then I kind of ruin it. Like,
Got you. I know exactly what you're talking about right now.
and so it's like
Yeah.
with women, but like also in just other areas of life, like even just reaching my full potential, I feel like I self-sabotage a lot. Like it's just doing stupid shit that you're not supposed to do, but you do it out of that. I don't know.
Just because
deal
you're
with
like, oh, if I get there, then what's gonna happen? Well, if I just stop here, then I know, like, this is just what it is.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Like, I'm a self-sabotager in that sense. In regards to, like, I have a goal, but I'm, like, scared to get to that goal because it's, like, so big. And I'm just like, oh,
you
my
don't know
gosh.
where to start.
No, that too, I'm like one of those people who overthinks how to start, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, like if I get to that level, like what is my life gonna look like? And I start to literally freak myself out, and then I'm like, okay, cool, done.
Yeah.
Instead of like just being like, you know what, let me push through this phase
Yeah.
and just like go for that goal. But I'm just like, no, that's just like too much for me, and you know what, I'm comfortable right here. So instead of like getting to that goal, I'm like, you know what, no, I'm good. Like self-sabotaging myself to just settle for whatever it is.
Yeah. That's exactly what I
Do you guys think when you guys see your goal and you see the path there, you see the obstacles and you see maybe the trials that you're gonna have to go through, does that sabotage you guys as well, or?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's almost like scary.
For me, I think I'm the opposite. Like, and it could be a good or bad thing. I'm not saying this is a good thing. That sometimes I don't even look at the obstacles. I just like, oh, we're just gonna go. I'm just gonna go and go after it, see what happens.
He just be rolling with the bumps.
Yeah,
and I'm
and
just like I'm getting car sick.
When the obstacles come, like I be getting hit left and right, but I just kind of go with it. And it could be a good or bad thing, because I've heard like when you get into business, sometimes you want to, like when you first get into business, sometimes you want to reverse engineer your business and figure out what issues you're going to have so you can prevent those issues. And for me, I don't really think like that. I do it the other way. I just go.
Yeah.
That makes sense? Yeah. So I guess we can kind of wrap it up here. But before we wrap it up, I like for you guys to, you don't have to answer it. Maybe if you have the answer, you can. But for all the listeners out there, I want you guys to think about and kind of figure out what your unique value proposition is. So kind of like what it is that you're good at, what can you bring to the table, what are you known for? So just to give you guys an example, a couple examples. So one of my boys, shout out to Izu, he always says, and he's the one that taught me about this, his unique value proposition is that he's good at team building. His thing is he can go into a company, he can be anywhere and build a team. He's really good at building teams. And the reason why I bring it up, because I just figured out what mine was. And mine is like, I just have phenomenal will. That I just have that ability and that grit to just not give up. I may not be the most skilled in the room, but I have that will. So if you want to answer it, maybe you can. But if you can't, it'd be something for you to think about and kind of really figure out.
Yeah.
Because it could be very valuable when you go to a company, when you start your own company, or when you're with your family or in a relationship. What can you bring to the table? What are you good at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
And for the audience too, like it would be a really good question to ask yourself. What is your unique value proposition? What do you bring to the table?
It's a difficult question to answer for sure. It's something to think about.
Yeah, and earlier she answered it, but I kind of
She answered it in 2 seconds?
Literally.
Really?
She answered it. I kind of challenged her to think about it a little bit more.
What was it? Do you want to say it?
Yeah, I'll say it. I said that what I bring to the table is a sense of reality.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really good at like, everybody will have like all these ideas, and I'm just like a really realistic person.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah, your idea is great, but let me bring you back down. Let's see how we're really gonna what's feasible.
Like, yeah, you want to make $1 million this year, but we got a month left, type of thing.
Which I'm not gonna knock anybody's dreams and
Yeah.
hopes,
me,
but
bro.
I'm just gonna
I'm about to
gonna
make $1
bring
million
you
tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna bring you back down, and like what we're gonna try to go over the steps.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to make sure this is something that like you have a plan for.
For sure.
Cause I like people will be like, even him, he'll like say all this stuff, and I'm just like, I don't mean to be rude, and I don't want to sound like I'm dashing your dreams, but let me bring you back down.
Yeah. And to me, that's like something I struggle with so much. And I'm glad and I honestly, bro, if there's one word I hate using, it's being realistic. I honestly do not believe in that at all. Like, but I'm glad that she balances me and she believes in it.
Yeah.
Cause
I like how she prefaces it too. It's like, I don't want to shit on you.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people aren't like that.
Yeah. She's
like,
more of
you
like,
can't do that.
she's more of like, let's figure it out.
Yeah. I'm like, I can be a very harsh person, but like I will be very gentle about it, because I don't want to be that person that knocks people's dreams. Because like people's dreams, they probably like took time to curate it. Like, this is what I want to do, and this is where I see myself going. And I'm like, no, like that's so harsh. And that like can really send people into like a downward spiral.
That one no can be like,
it can deter people from their whole life, like life goals.
Yeah.
But I'll just be like, okay, that's a phenomenal goal, but let's just like come to the table and see what we can do to actually get you there.
And so you said you wanted her to think about it more. Did you think about it more? Did you?
That's basically what I told him.
Well, yeah, she told me that, but I just challenged her to think about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because when I first heard that question, I didn't know what the heck it was, and I heard what exactly it was, but I heard it about 2 months ago, and I just found out what it was like 2 days ago. And she was like, no, you knew what it was because you talk about it every single day.
I'm like, you always talk about how you a dog, how you a lion, how you be going after it, and how you don't take
people
no.
out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He said, yeah.
We don't do that around here.
No, we
No.
don't. But like, it just took a moment for me to like, yep, that's it.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So think about that. You know, maybe next time you get on the podcast or next time we talk, you can let us know what it is. On that note, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, please do me a huge favor. Just recommend it to one friend, one family member out there. Let them listen to it. I feel like we got a lot of game and a lot of value and a lot of gems in this podcast. Somebody can take something from it and definitely learn and apply it to their own life. Any last words?
No.
I want to have you guys on again for sure. To me, this was fun.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on again,
sure,
man.
For sure.
Thank you, Christopher.
We're definitely going to do this again. On that note, I'll catch you guys next week.
That's right. I have wrestled with an alligator. I done tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in bed.